Welcome to Thinking is Contagious. I don't know if you saw Labor Day weekend, 63 people shot in Chicago. Same time that Lori Lightfoot, the mayor, uh, sends out the mandate that if you are not vaccinated and you're a city employee, you might get fired. So, a shot mandate. I think that she probably should have been clearer when she said shot mandate, because I think some people took it literally that you have to go shoot people in Chicago. Uh, but I got a better idea, Mayor Lightfoot. I think you could probably have a 100% vaccination rate if you had started when the pandemic started, if you had mandated that anyone who was shot in Chicago had to, as part of their treatment, had to get the COVID shot. I think you'd probably have 100% of your population covered with the COVID vaccine. It's funny how 63 people getting shot in Chicago over the weekend, over Labor Day weekend, only comes out on conservative news broadcasts. I wonder if lives matter all the time. Do you think they do? I don't know. I don't think they do either. But anyway, I think Mayor Lightfoot, you could be onto something. Just mandate if you get shot, you have to get a COVID vaccine at the same time that you're being treated. So that should help your numbers, and I think you'll get to herd immunity very quickly in Chicago. Another point, no matter what the commercials on television tell you or lead you to believe, America is not what is represented in the commercials today. That is not the makeup, the demographic makeup of this country. And I challenge anyone who thinks it is to turn the tables and equate what is happening on television today, commercials today. If anyone was dropped from another planet and placed on the earth and made watch TV for a week before going out and encountering the human population, they would be shocked at what they see as the human population is versus what's represented on television in commercials and television shows. I'll tell you what I wouldn't want to be. I wouldn't want to be the agent for any white male actors in this country, because that's a tough gig right now. Okay? I wouldn't want to be the agent for any conservative views in this country right now of broadcasters or commentators, because that's an impossible gig right now. You talk about what needs to happen in this country. What needs to happen in this country is this country needs to be left alone and quit being manipulated by the lies. I watched Shark Tank the other night, and in one of the episodes, there was a young lady from Guyana, and she was very emotional, and deservedly so. She was very articulate, very smart, come a long way. And she said how her family had fled Guyana for America, the land of opportunity, because they knew it was their only chance to give their children, the parents knew it was the only chance to give their children a shot at a good life, at freedom, at liberty, at opportunity. That doesn't play well in liberal television land. Speaking about not playing well, did you hear Biden today talking about tornadoes and Nevada being in the Midwest and stuttering and stammering all over himself, the incomprehensible? That's the president of this country. That's who you voted for, a lot of you. It's an embarrassment what's going on. Afghanistan is in complete control of the Taliban now. Complete control. And Joe Biden is still with his lies, his stories, his rhetoric. I heard one of the fathers of one of the 13 service members that was killed by Joe Biden's decisions in Afghanistan. I heard him say that he refused to meet with Biden. I heard one of his daughters who did meet, and the widow of the deceased service member who did meet with Biden, said they refused to look him in the eye. I saw the videos of him at the services when the caskets were being delivered at the tarmac. I saw the video of him looking down at his watch, and then the fact checkers tell you that it didn't happen. It did happen. I see how in this country you're having the duplicity of the politicians clamoring for this $3.5 trillion ridiculous stimulus package, that all it is a wolf in sheep's clothing, an attempt to take taxpayer dollars and distribute it to people who the politicians know that the people who end up with this money, who they distribute this money to, will be easy, slim pickings for those that put them in office, the power infrastructure of this country that put them in office, who hide behind, oh, we want equality, we want minimum wage raised, we want equality in the boardrooms, we want equality in the workforce, we want lies. It's all lies. None of that is true. For 50 years, these are the same people that they've been telling you that they're looking out for all the minorities. And for 50 years, we have heard all the negative comments about how this country treats its minorities. So what has happened for 50 years? Democrat-led cities, all the major cities in this country, Democrat-led. They are a cesspool for fraud. They are a cesspool for bigotry and racism. You know why? Because the very people that sit in office and live in the governor's mansions and are high payroll individuals off the taxpayer, those are the very people that know in order to keep their position, to perpetrate the need to have their position filled, they need to claim racism. They need to scream racism. They need to scream inequality. They need to scream unfairness, because they know that without it, they have no careers. Nancy Pelosi, a disgrace. Schumer, a disgrace. AOC, complete incompetent. Kamala Harris, Vice President of the United States, because of two things. She was born a woman, and she is a minority, a woman of color. That's it. Those are her only qualifications. None whatsoever. And she knows, because during all this turmoil, all the heat that's on Biden, she is laying low. Even the cackle, the Kamala cackle, is nowhere to be seen, because she knows that she's in over her head. She wants no part of this. And behind the scenes, she's letting them know, the plan, change it. I don't want to be there. I don't want to do this. And Biden continues with his inane, senseless, senile weekend at Biden's deliveries, news conferences, press conferences, where he mumbles, stammers, stutters, forgets, mispronounces, misrepresents, flat out lies, denies, makes up and fabricates, changes facts. That's a typical press conference of Joe Biden. And then he takes his papers, taps them on the table, puts them together, turns, says, I gotta go. I have another meeting. I really do. I gotta go. And he shuffles away. Shuffles to make sure he doesn't fall. Shuffles to make sure that the floor is not moving on him. And I guarantee you there's probably breadcrumbs on the floor, or M&Ms or something for him to follow, to make sure that he knows which way he has to go. This is a disgrace. The whole world is watching this. The whole world is laughing. This is the president of the United States. Do you know what they're doing in China? In the government offices, they're celebrating. They're saying the position as the world's great economy, the greatest economy, as the world leader, is assured as long as we keep this old codger in place, and as long as this left-leaning liberal agenda is in place that will weaken the American infrastructure. Because this agenda will make sure that the best and the brightest are not in leadership positions, but that the ones that check off the proper boxes are. And that leads to one thing and one thing only. You don't have the best leading. You don't have the best structuring the economy. You don't have the best leading and making political decisions. You don't have the best. You have the easier to manipulate. You have the inexperienced. You have the incompetent. And you have those that are in over their heads. Doesn't mean that everyone fits this mold. There are some very qualified people, but you cannot say that the entire, across the board, representation for the American people via their leaders, their elected leaders, or their appointed, in this case, leaders in appointed positions, you cannot say that those choices were made from the complete field to assure that you've turned over every stone to make sure you have chosen the best, the most competent, the most qualified, and the best person to represent America, to represent the American taxpayer. That's not a factor here. What is a factor is to weaken this country, and that's what's being done here, under the guise of equality, under the guise of understanding, open-mindedness, civility, fairness, opportunity. No. None of those things apply. On the contrary, when you make decisions based on something other than the best, you have actually eliminated opportunity. You have actually eliminated the ability to diversify and put the best and the brightest in a position to succeed and continue moving forward, because you're putting people in a position that they cannot succeed because they are not qualified to take that position, and it will end up in a train wreck, as we have seen in Afghanistan. The blood of 13 service members is on the hands of Joe Biden and cackling Kamala Harris. It's a disgrace. It is not going to get better until there is a complete turnaround in Washington, D.C., and we clean up this new swamp that's been created and the void filled by ineptitude and unqualified individuals who are just happy to be where they are and fully comprehend that their time is limited because they don't belong there. And time will prove that they don't belong there. But unfortunately, that time that goes by and those errors that are made and those missteps that occur, unfortunately lead to things like 13 service members dead in Afghanistan. Thousands of people stranded, thousands of Americans stranded, 100,000 non-Americans pulled out, but several thousand non-Americans pulled out, but tens of thousands of Americans left behind. Military equipment, technology that the enemy is desperate to get their hands on, to copy, to make use of, to implement. Technology that was made available and afforded by United States taxpayer dollars to put the United States in a position of leadership as far as their military might and the military presence that they could support, that they could bring to support their allies. That technology was given away. And they may say it was rendered useless before the Taliban took it. It doesn't matter. The skeleton, the bones are still there. The ability to garner information and knowledge about what that technology is and how it works is still there. But more importantly than all of that, forget about the equipment, forget about the $80 billion or the 40 or the 30, whatever the number is, because the number is not as important as the technology that's been handed over to the Taliban. That is treason, Joe Biden. That is treason, your military leaders and advisors. That is treason. And hopefully, pray to God that no more Americans have to die because of this stupidity of this man. He is an abject failure, and his 50 years show and point to abject failure as being the underlying recurring theme of his career. You know what it is to go to these 13 service members and equate what happened to them to his son dying of brain cancer? Joe Biden, you are the brain cancer that killed the 13 people. Do you not understand this? Your son, unfortunately, God rest his soul, and prayers for his soul. But your son died of a disease. 13 service members died because you are a disease, because you are incompetent, because you accepted a position that you cannot fulfill for two reasons: your lack of instinct, your lack of leadership, your lack of innate knowledge, and your lack of feel for what America is. And number two, that you sold your soul to get here. And you have to do the bidding of the far left, no matter what they tell you. And we've been through this. Because if not, Hunter goes in, and you go in, and your brother goes in, and God knows who else might go in. Maybe even Barack goes in. Okay? You had to fulfill, and you accepted selling your soul to the devil of socialism in order to reach a position that you know you are incapable of ever reaching on your own. You are incapable of reaching it on your own. And what you've done, as bad as it is for the economy, as bad as it is for America, the image of America, how America is viewed throughout the world, how embarrassing it is, how we're viewed around the world, as bad as all that is, it pales in comparison to the blood on your hands for the 13 service members who died because of your ridiculous decisions. Joe Biden, move on. Do the world a favor. Do yourself a favor. Do American people a favor. Because come midterms in 2022, the debacle that will occur, the dismantling of your party, will be a record. It'll be a record undertaking by the American people. And all the lies about the voter laws and your abortion, by the way, your stance on abortion, you are a real piece of trash, Biden, because you profess to be this Catholic and you're quoting scripture whenever the opportunity arises. And yet you condone the murder of the unborn. And you can't deny that. Even the church, your church, refused you communion because of your stance on this. You're a hypocrite, sir. You're a phony. Everyone sees right through you when you get out there and you do your monologue, trying to be emotional and sentimental and heartfelt. Everyone sees right through you. You are a senile old codger that everyone sees right through. I hope that everyone who voted against Donald Trump understands the damage that they have done. I would love to have you explain your position to the 13 service members' families about why you thought it was a good idea to vote for weekend at Biden's. But it's not really fair for me to throw that because many did, and that wasn't your intent, and I understand that. I understand that no one, I don't think any, no, I know no one would have voted for Biden had they known what he was going to do. But I do fault you for voting for Biden for one reason and one reason only. The best way to predict future behavior is look at past behavior. Kamala Harris called him a racist. Okay? He has made racist comments. He just said his FEMA director, and he used the word boy. Whether he meant to say the boy or boy, was this guy good at this, doesn't matter, okay? The word boy was used. If Donald Trump had used that word, we know what would have happened. If you ain't black, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. Super predators. The Criminal Reform Act in 1994. Every major decision, Robert Gates served under Bush and Obama. What did he say? And Trump. What did he say? A man in Joe Biden who was wrong almost all the time on his decisions. That is our president. And the world sees it. And they're all going to test him. China, Japan. Afghanistan is a hotbed for the rare earths, the biggest stockpile of rare earths on the face of the earth. Critical and crucial for the EVs and the green movements of the future. It's all going to fall in the hands of China and Russia. And you can thank Joe Biden for that. Joe Biden, who cooked up deals with Burisma, who cooked up deals with Russia and the Ukraine and China for monetary gain. That's who is leading this country down a path that is going to be hard to turn. But you know what? Americans, when things look the worst, that's when this country steps up. This is the greatest country in the world, and there's a reason for it. Because when America's back is to the wall, you don't want to be in front of them. You don't want to be messing with them. And this country will come through with flying colors. This country will open their eyes. This country will realize what a disease is in Washington right now. And they will cut it out and eradicate it. All right. Thank you. Have a good day.